When my mother sent that card, I almost laughed. I had spent the last 3 years traveling for a photography agency, leaving my name in the dust of the family estate and the name of my brother's new book club. The letter, embossed with the family crest, read in an elegant script, "Dear Claire, we would be delighted if you could join us for the annual harvest banquet at the estate. The feast will be held at 8 p.m. in the Great Hall. Dress in your finest." The family had always been the type that threw lavish parties for their own. The banquet was a tradition that celebrated the harvest, the sale of the vineyard, and the passing of the title from one generation to the next. A banquet for Claire? She was a single woman, a wanderer in her own life, and my mother had never mentioned it before. She must have been misled by the other letters, or perhaps she had a change of heart. The next morning, my mother texted me a picture of the hall. It was a breathtaking sight. A long, oak-plated table set with silver, crystal, and a single red rose at the center. The windows were drawn shut, and the light was dim, a warm glow from chandeliers overhead. My heart beat a rhythm that matched the thrum of the city outside my window, a rhythm that had no place at that table. When I arrived, the doors opened and a soft murmur greeted me. A woman in a long black dress approached, her smile warm but her eyes cold. "Claire, how wonderful to see you," she said, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Your mother was delighted. She told me you would be the evening's star." The table was already set. As I stepped closer, I saw the nameplates. At the end of the main table were my mother and my father, my elder brother at the side, and a few cousins. My name was nowhere to be seen. A short table was set a few feet away, each chair with a child's name on it: Ethan, Lily, Noah. There were children's cutlery, bowls of fruit, and a small porcelain cake. "I'm sorry," the woman said, "we're short on space. Your mother thinks you are a child at heart." She gestured to the table with a wry smile. "Sit here." I laughed, a sharp sound that echoed in the hall. "I'm not a child. I'm not even married." The woman's smile faltered. "You are right. But we thought you would enjoy the banquet with us." I left the small table, the taste of disappointment still sharp on my tongue. The family had invited me to a feast, but they had also made a subtle statement about my status. This was only the beginning of the web of intrigue that would unravel that evening. The banquet started with the usual toast. The oldest relative, my great-grandmother, lifted a glass of wine. The family's eyes turned toward her as she spoke of the vineyard's harvest, the success of the business, and the family legacy. The old women in the room laughed softly at her stories, their eyes flicking to my mother, who nodded politely. I could see the way my father's gaze flickered to me. He smiled a thin line. His face looked younger when he looked at me than when he looked at the other family members. My mother, though, kept her eyes on her own plate. She was the only one that seemed to not be a part of the conversation. As a guest at my own family's banquet, she was already invisible. When my brother approached, he lifted a small glass, and a half-smile spread across his face. "To Claire, the woman who made a living from photographs." He tipped his glass, and the family's eyes turned toward me again. He lifted a second glass. I swallowed my pride. I did not want to sit at a child's table, but the child's table had me in a more comfortable seat. My mother was there too, sitting on the main table, and her face was still neutral. I was still a stranger to everyone else, even to my own family. The dinner progressed. I could hear my mother's voice, but she was not listening to me. She was talking about the new business plans. The conversation was heavy with the sound of wine, the clink of glass, and the hum of old voices. My brother kept telling jokes. My father made comments that were too loud. I listened. I saw the way my aunt's hand was gripping my brother's wrist. My uncle's smile was a little too bright. My mother's eyes were not looking at the banquet but at something in the corner of the room. The family's eyes were on her, too. The rest of the room was in a tense bubble, full of a conversation about wine and family history, and I felt the weight of that conversation as if it was my own. When the dessert was served, the family moved to a new table. My mother sat next to me. She looked at me with a look that could mean many things. She took a bite of a piece of cake and left a piece on my plate. She said something about my brother's life. I didn't hear it, but I felt it, like a sudden sting. The conversation turned to the children at the banquet, who had a small table and had their own conversation. The family was in a mood that was more like a stage than a conversation. A hidden secret at the end of the banquet. As the guests filed out, the door opened, and I saw my mother and my father holding a small black purse. My brother's eyes widened. My mother was holding a letter with my name on it, but she did not open it. My father made a small motion, and the letter was passed to me. My heart hammered. I was about to read the letter that I knew I was not supposed to see. I opened it. Inside was an old photo of my father holding a small child. The child looked like me, but my father's expression was a mixture of love and something that could have been guilt. The letter said, "Claire, we have something we have never told you, we've been hiding it for years." It was followed by a small note that I could not read. But the letter gave me a glimpse of a hidden truth. My mother looked up. She stared at me, a mix of fear and shame on her face. "I'm sorry. I did not want to hurt you," she whispered. "I've kept a secret because I feared the world would not understand." The letter had my name on it, so I knew that it was a part of my own life. My heart beat in a rhythm that I could not control. I did not want to ask too much. I just wanted to know what it was. My father reached out and touched my shoulder. He said, "We have been the secret. We've been living in a lie, and this was the final piece. The reason you were not invited is because we did not want you to know about the truth. We are sorry." My mother's eyes were open. She looked at the room. "We are not a family in a normal sense," she said. "We have been in this life for decades. I was the first. The secret is what we do." We did not know that we would become a part of a story that would go beyond a small family that had been a part of the world. The betrayal. We were left in a room that was a house in a world that had been a story for decades. The family had secrets. They had hidden a truth. It was a betrayal that they had been hiding for so many years. I had never realized how deeply they had buried this secret. My mother told me that the family's inheritance had always come from the vineyard, the business, and a small part that had gone to me. The vineyard is a small, hidden place. The family had not told me that there was a secret, that the family was different. She had told me that my father was different. He was the one who had taken a different path. He had become an old man with a big secret that had always remained unknown. He had lived the secret. He had always had a secret. In the small kitchen, the family was going to do something. My mother, the family, the old man, and my father were all here. I sat near the kitchen, listening. The conversation was not about wine or family. It was about a small thing. I could see the anger in my mother's eyes. She looked at the other family members, and I realized that she was not there for the same reason. She was looking for something. I want to know why we are doing this, she said, and why my mother's wife is there. She did not know what the meaning was, but she was telling the whole family that she would. I saw my brother's reaction. He looked at my mother. He turned around. He looked at me. He looked at my father. He was not afraid. He could see the small truth. He was looking at my mother. He was not afraid to ask me. He was a big brother. He had never wanted to see me. He had never seen a big part. He was in love with me. I was never a part of the family. I was a small part of the family. The conversation was a small thing. The conversation was a big part. I was not there. I was not there. I was looking at my mother, and I was looking at the world. 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 The repercussions when the family returned to the main hall, the atmosphere had changed. The family had turned into a single group. The conversation was about the new truth, about the new secret, about the new reality. The family was now a part of a different world. The world was not the world we had known. In the end, my mother told me that the secret was the only truth. The family's legacy was a new reality. The family had become a different reality. The reality was different. The world was no longer the world that was there. The world was different. The story ended on a bittersweet note. The world was not what it seemed. The world was something else. The world was not something else. The world was something else. The world was not something else. The world was something else. The world was not something else.